From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report in Special English. More than 700 business leaders, government officials, and investors gathered in Mountain View, California. They were attending the third annual Social Innovation Summit. Landmark Ventures, a financial advisory company, organized the event in December. It was a conference aimed at finding new ways to deal with some old problems, like traffic. Vehicle traffic is an issue that student entrepreneur Christian Brueggemann hopes to solve. His team, Graphmasters, received a Microsoft Imagine Cup grant of $100,000. The German team won the prize for its NUNAV traffic management system. Here is how it works. Drivers using the system send their current position and destination to the system's computer servers every 30 seconds. With that information, the central system can reroute all of the cars in a way that everyone gets his individual best possible route. Christian Brueggemann says tests suggest that using such a system could save up to 20% on fuel consumption and up to 50% on time spent in traffic. A team from Uganda was also invited to the Social Innovation Summit. Team Cipher 256 has developed a mobile app to improve health care for pregnant women in Africa, where maternal and infant mortality rates are extremely high. The mobile app is called Winsenga. It measures fetal heart sounds to help establish the heart rate, age, and position of the fetus in the mother. Cipher 256 leader Aaron Tushabe says the device is similar to medical tests that are costly. Team Cipher 256 also received a Microsoft Imagine Cup grant to help continue their project. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Social media networks have come to play an important part in the political unrest in Syria. The Syrian government barred most media from the country after the unrest began a year ago. But that has not stopped Syrians from getting out information to the rest of the world. Many Syrians have turned to social media like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to help spread reports about what is happening in the country. Hundreds, possibly thousands of videos have appeared on YouTube and other social media sites in the past few weeks. With few foreign reporters in Syria, social media have become a major tool for telling the world what is happening. Many news organizations have had to depend on reports and videos from people they call citizen journalists. Emmanuel Esposti is a blogger in Britain who has been studying the use of such videos by foreign media. She says it is very difficult to know where a video has actually come from or who made it or why. In early March, Syria's deputy oil minister resigned to join the opposition. In a video on YouTube, Abdo Hussameddin had a message for the government of President Bashar al-Assad. He said it had, in his words, brought a year of sadness and misery to those you claim to be your people. He also said the government had deprived its people of basic needs and humanity and brought the country to the edge of disaster. Abdo Hussameddin was the highest official to leave the government since the unrest began. In the video, he urged other Syrian officials to resign. Syrian opposition activist Abdi Hakim Ijburi also knows about the importance of social media. He used social media to contact other opponents of the government. He says many of them wanted to hold protests like those that took place in Egypt and Tunisia. At first, we started using Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to get a group of young people and activists together, he says. And from that group, we started organizing. In his hometown, activists started writing anti-government graffiti on walls. Abdi Hakim Ijburi says that as the protests grew, he was captured and tortured. He escaped to Lebanon like thousands of other Syrians. He says there were lots of people in his hometown that he did not even know were part of the opposition movement or sympathetic to that movement. In his words, if it hadn't been for the social media, we wouldn't have become united. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Technology Report. High-quality systems used in video conferencing are called telepresence systems. The images are life-size, yet not truly lifelike. They lack the depth that people would normally see if they were in the same room together. But this could change in the future with new kinds of three-dimensional telepresence systems. Last week, we told you about a 3D system at the University of Arizona. Researchers can send a moving image over the internet and show it on a special screen in close to real time. People would not have to wear special glasses like they often need to watch 3D movies. The system uses a lot of cameras to take pictures of a person from different positions. Lasers reproduce the pictures combined into three-dimensional images or holograms. The image appears more realistic with the more cameras that are used and the more pictures that are taken. Howard Lichtman is president of the Human Productivity Lab. His company advises other companies on buying and using telepresence systems. Mr. Lichtman also publishes Telepresence Options, which reports on the industry. He says this latest development would have done wonders for the Star Wars movie with the famous Princess Leia hologram scene. The researchers in Arizona say their 3D system is still years away from completion. Even then, Howard Lichtman says it may have trouble competing with systems already on the market. Most telepresence systems are two-dimensional. But Mr. Lichtman says the images are very realistic. He says it is a 2D image, but it is clear and realistic. He says you would think you were in the same physical space with people who might be thousands of kilometers away. Howard Lichtman says prices for telepresence systems are going down as more people use the technology. A new $18 million project aims to create 11 telepresence centers for federal employees around the United States. The government is working with the AT&T company to save money and reduce pollution by reducing the need for travel. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. For more reports about technology, go to our website, voaspecialenglish.com. You can also find our programs online with transcripts and MP3 files. And you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at VOA Learning English.
This is the VOA Special English Development Report. Delegates from around the world have agreed on a new plan to end the worst kinds of child labor by 2016. More than 450 delegates from 80 countries approved the plan at the Global Child Labor Conference. It was held in The Hague, the Netherlands, in May, a week before the International Labor Organization released its third global report on child labor. The report said there are still 215 million child laborers in the world. 115 million of them are working in some of the worst kinds of child labor. These are often dangerous to their health and safety. The ILO notes that child labor is decreasing worldwide, but it is decreasing at a much slower rate than 4 years ago. The organization also warned that the global economic crisis could slow progress even more. It called for an increase in global efforts in order to reach the goals for ending the worst forms of child labor. Representatives at the conference talked about what actions need to be taken. Patrick Quinn is with the ILO's International Program on the Elimination of Child Labor. He says there is clear evidence of the kinds of policies and programming interventions that can be most effective in combating the problem. Mr. Quinn said these include governments working to end the barriers that stop poor families from getting education for their children. And they include governments putting in place the right education policies. Mr. Quinn says efforts to combat the problem must also be increased at the community level. He said the ILO is working with local civic organizations to change opinions about child labor. The ILO report notes that several areas of the world are making important progress. They include Latin America, the Caribbean, and South Asia. The least progress has been made in Africa. Mr. Quinn says world leaders will discuss the issue later this year at a meeting on the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. He says there is a close link between these goals and combating child labor. And that's the VOA Special English Development Report. Transcripts, MP3s, and podcasts of our programs are at voaspecialenglish.com. You can also comment on this and other programs, and you can join us on Facebook and Twitter at VOA Learning English.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Call it medicine on a microchip. Researchers in the United States have developed the first wirelessly controlled device that can supply a drug directly into the body. A small chip is implanted under the skin. It contains the medicine, which it releases at preset times. The developers say the device could improve the lives of millions of people who take medicine for long-term illnesses. A company called Microchips began developing the device about 15 years ago. In February, the company released the results of its first successful tests in humans. The tests took place in Denmark with 7 women with osteoporosis. Osteoporosis causes bones to become weak and break easily. The disorder is common among older people, especially women. Many patients have to give themselves daily injections of medicine. One type of treatment requires injections for 2 years. Robert Farah is the president of Microchips. He says many patients stop taking the medicine because of the pain and stress of the injections. As a result, only 25% of the patients will go through the entire 24 months of treatment. The microchip is a few centimeters long. It has small sections that each hold a single dose of medicine. Mr. Farah says the device has to be programmed with the times to release the drug. For osteoporosis, the physician will program the device, and the device has the ability to release a dose at a given time, every single day. For other diseases where the physician may want to alter the dosing schedule, they will have the ability to wirelessly reprogram that dosing schedule. He says doctors will be able to reprogram the device from a computer or even a cell phone. The 7 women in the study were ages 65 to 70. The researchers say the implants were just as effective as daily injections. And they say the dosage amounts were more exact than patients often give themselves. The microchips in the study held only 20 doses of medicine. Mr. Farah says it could take 4 years to design and test a version with the ability to hold a year's worth of medicine. He says the microchip may one day free patients from having to remember to take their medicine or give themselves injections. It may also be useful in treating other chronic diseases, including heart disease and multiple sclerosis. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report in Special English. American colleges and universities awarded about 1.7 million bachelor's degrees in the school year ending in 2010. 57% of those receiving degrees were female, but only 18% of the women earned degrees in computer and information sciences. Reshma Sajani would like to change that. She launched an organization called Girls Who Code in 2011. Her goal is to get more girls interested in science and technology. In the next 20 years, experts estimate there will be about 1.4 million new jobs in science and technology. But there is a problem. Rashma Sajani says less than 20% of women are actually going into these professions. So there is an enormous gap. The underrepresentation of women in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, called STEM, is a problem. Rashma Sajani says it is caused by a bigger social issue. She says girls and boys perform about the same in math and science, so it is not an aptitude issue. Rashma Sajani says we live in a society that sends messages that girls should avoid these fields of study. Girls Who Code has partnered with educators, engineers, and business people. 20 girls took part in the group's first program last summer in New York City. They learned how to build websites, mobile apps, and create business plans. Still, it is only a beginning. Rashma Sajani says if our goal at Girls Who Code is to really close the STEM gap, we realize we have to teach 2 million girls how to code in the next 20 years. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Hundreds of students from around the world recently gathered in New York City for the Microsoft Imagine Cup Finals. They came to present their ideas for using technology to solve world problems. Microsoft Education Director Susie Levine says the 9-year-old program began mainly as a competition to create technology. She says, when we realized that students really actually want to have a purpose for what they're creating, we introduced the idea of inspiring them with the UN Millennium Development Goals and suggesting that they use those for their muse. New sources for ideas this year included intergovernmental and non-governmental organizations and nonprofits. They can submit some of the technical challenges that they would like students to consider for their solutions. Microsoft says over 350,000 high school and college students registered for this year's competition. Judges chose more than 400 of them to attend the finals. Ms. Levine says several teams were inspired by current events, including floods last year in Thailand. A team from Chulalongkorn University in Thailand created a Windows Phone 7 application that allows you to broadcast your location to your social network of friends so that you can be more easily rescued. There were also ideas from Egypt, inspired by the revolution that overthrew President Hosni Mubarak in February. Ms. Levine says one idea was to use Bluetooth as sort of a Twitter equivalent, so that if the government shuts down the internet, you actually can still have a massive social distribution. Students competed in 9 categories. For example, in software design, the top prize of $25,000 went to Team Hermes from Ireland. The students developed a device for cars to collect information on road conditions, driving behavior, and traffic incidents. A team from Taiwan's National Tsinghua University won first place in the Embedded Development category. They developed a network of wireless devices to help plot the safest escape routes during a fire. Next year's award ceremony will take place in Australia. Microsoft has also announced a $3 million program to help Imagine Cup winners further develop their projects. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti. You can get more technology news and learn English on your computer or mobile device at voaspecialenglish.com.